another weekly cross-stitching update. As it is just a cross-stitching update, I have done no sewing of any kind in the last week. Apologies in advance for my voice and the throat clearing you're bound to hear in this video a bit. I did get the sickness. I knew I was going to get it. And I did get it. It came for me. Me and my two oldest kids were sick this past week. They had the flu, and I think I just got a cold because I never had the flu other than, like, I didn't have too many of the same symptoms as them. I'm not sure. Anyways, I'm just dealing with the after effects. Miraculously, it has not turned into a sinus infection for me yet, but possibility is always there. So, I do have a finish to share this from this past week. And I forgot my iPad. Okay, well, sorry. My finish is Dash Away All from the Calico Confectionery. I bought a PDF on their Etsy store, and I stitched this on 40 count cream and sugar from Fiber on a Whim with SWA 103 in the color 681. I loved stitching this. It only took one day or one more stitching session to finish it up. I love that little line of reindeers. I really loved stitching it. It has a little partner pillow. I'm not sure if I'm going to stitch just because it is the Sleigh and Santa again. So I probably won't. I have plans to turn this into a pillow, and I would really love to try sewing ribbon on the outside, like when it's all bunched. I've never done that, and I love the way that it looks, and I think doing a bright red ribbon around the edge of this would be really pretty. So that is my finish. I do have several whips. I'm pretty sure this is all that I worked on, but I can't 100% remember. But I'm fairly certain that I've got everything that I touched. I did work on my Christmas hat sampler, Threads of Christmas Past. I'm still loving stitching on this one. I decided, since I made it all the way across one side, I wanted to work my way down on the left side. I'm only about halfway, so I still have to get to about here. But I was just kind of adding in the letters as I was going, just to kind of keep my count on the border. I filled in some more of the letters here, and I did complete these letters all the way across. It's just so pretty. I love it. It's a really relaxing project to stitch on too. Just really simple, 2 colors and letters. There's not a whole lot of brain power that goes into it, and I think that's why I'm really liking it. This is being stitched on 46 count light hazelnut from XG Designs, and I'm using the called for red, which is, I can't remember, 644 or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember. But I did change the green to 107 or 707. I'm sorry. I don't remember. I know I said them right in my last video though. So there is that one. This one has definitely been staying downstairs by me at my stitching spot. And then I got in the mood to do some smalls. So I pulled out a whip from last year that was a partial finish, which is Cranberry Christmas from Hands On Design. I stitched the big one last year, and that's what it looks like. And so I wanted to use the same piece of fabric to stitch another one. So I started the smallest one because I really gave myself too much margin here. So I stitched the tiniest one on this section, and I'll stitch the other two here. So I started this little one right there and realized that I got off on this whole entire row. So like all three of these have to be unpicked, and that's when I was like, well, I just wasted my own time, tore it out of the hoop and threw it on the floor, and that's where it stayed. Oh, what are these stitched on? 40 count Tekla from Tropical Stitches. I had a question. Someone asked me, where I got this tin that I'm keeping things in, or maybe it was this tin. I'm not sure. Either way, they both came from Temu. Okay. Get that to move. I did have a new start because again, I was feeling the smalls Christmases, and I also had just watched Lori Holt's latest Flosstube, and she showed a lot of her Christmas things, and it really got me in the mood to stitch some Christmas smalls. So I pulled out Prairie Schooler Santa's Revisited, I don't know, Roman numerals, something. And I started the 2016 Santa, which is this one here in the middle. And I did change the colors. So I just grabbed a whole bunch of colors. These are all DMC. And I just grabbed a whole bunch of colors that are Christmassy that I liked. And I knew that Lori Holt was stitching all of her Prairie Schooler Santas in DMC 347. So I pulled that one, and then I kind of just picked other Christmas colors surrounding that. And that's how I've been stitching it. I've just kind of been pulling the colors that I like. And here's the start. Stitching him on 36 count. I think this is also light. No, this is Aged Hazelnut from XJU Designs. It's just a scrap I had from cut off from another project. And I got legs. That's it. Just some legs. But this was a really not soothing, but simple thing to be stitching when I did not feel good, but I wanted to stitch. So I hope to get him finished in the next, before Christmas. And then maybe I'll try to stitch one a year. I think that's what I said last year was what I'd like to do. Okay. I do have another whip. I did not stitch a ton on this, but I did get a little bit. This is Plum Street Samplers, This Joyous Season. I'm pretty sure I always call this one Repeat the Sounding Joy because of the words, but it is This Joyous Season. I'm stitching this with all the called for colors. Flatten out. On 36 count Vintage Meadow Rue from Lakeside Linens. And I love the color that this house is stitched in, this red. I think it's Weeks Dye Works Cayenne. It's so good. So I didn't do a ton. I did finish this tree, the green in it. I stitched about that much of it, and then I added the thing on the end of the pomegranate. I did a tiny bit of roof fill-in just so I could start on this chimney. And then I wanted to make sure my basket was right on the house because I stitched it totally wrong. Each one of these spaces is supposed to be two blank. So the basket is stitched totally wrong, but if it all lines up the same, then I don't care. So I started on the vines so I could like make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. And then I just keep going. I'm not picking out that whole basket. So that is all I did on this. Like I said, I didn't do too much. I don't know. I want to stitch on this in my head. And then I start stitching on it and I'm like, I don't want to stitch on this. But it is really pretty and this fabric is gorgeous. And then I have one more whip I worked on. I was feeling a little bit tired of Christmas stitching. I've been doing a lot of that. Go in. So I wanted to pull out a sampler. I was missing my samplers. So I pulled out Oh Sweet Humility, Eliza Townsend. I started this not too long ago, August or September, and it was a restart from my original start. I'm stitching it on 46 count Through the Looking Glass from Tabby Cat with the called for 103 silks, with the exception of this light pink that is supposed to be one of the gray colors for this flower, but I copied Audrey Stitch Bead, who recently finished this. She had swapped all the gray in the flowers for number 60 in 103, and I just loved that so much more. So I did change that color, but everything else is as charted. So I stitched basically this whole entire thing here. Oh, and this little critter, white tailless sheep thing, lamb, I'm not sure. So I stitched this whole house and this big tree over it, and then I brought the grass all the way up, and where the grass is here is where the big red house starts. And then I did this tree, and I started on the flowers of this tree, which are outlined in crosses, but then the inside is satin stitched. And Audrey gave me the tip because I'd heard Nicola from Hands Across the Sea say at one point that if you put satin stitches over full crosses, it'll make them like puffed out. And so I asked if she'd done that, and she said she just did a double layer of satin stitch going all the way one direction and then all the way back. And that's what I did, and I think it's looking really good. Oh, there's like 18 trucks driving in front of my house right now. What the heck are we doing, people? So anyways, there is my last whip. I do have a little bit of haul. I am in the Dying to Stitch Stitchers Quarterly Club, I think it's called. Though it hasn't been quarterly. It's been really sporadic, which hasn't been very fun for me to just be surprised when I'm getting charged for a kit. But I understand, you know, things happen, but it has not been quarterly. I didn't even get my first kit until like May or June. And then I got the second kit in I think August. And then I just got the third kit. And there's still one more for this year. So like got 3 kits from in the last 6 months from them, but it's okay. So the kit for this one was from Stacy Nash, and it's called Pumpkin Thief Sampler. And it looks like this, a little nautical theme. I love the border. Not sure how I feel about the ship and the octopus, but I love everything else. And so it came with 2 full skeins of some colors, and I think they said this is R&R Winter Brew, and then they gave you just what you needed of the other colors. there's that. I don't know where to put stuff. And then I got my Belle Soie of the month for November from the Just Stitching Club. And the colors for November were Walk the Plank, Paprika, and Miss Green Jeans. So pretty. I love this orange. So I've got those to add to my very large Belle Soie stash now. And then I had said, I can't remember if it was I think it was not the last video, but the video before, that Jody from Cedar River Linen had released 3 new colors. And I got the one color and I showed it on here as Alpen Glow because I was undecided on the other 2 colors. And then I watched Brenda and Laura and they showed all 3 colors. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get the other 2 because they're too good. So I got those in and I did choose 46 count. So this is Mica. It is gorgeous. So pretty. The modeling reminds me a lot of Picture This Plus style modeling, but it's more elegant, is the only way I can describe it. And then this one is Sepia. So pretty. So let's see, I can hold them up side by side. Mica is a bit warmer toned and darker than Sepia. So very pretty, very excited to have these in my stash. I'm trying to grow my 46 count collection. It is very small. Okay, so because I was all inspired by Lori Holt and her Christmas video, I was going through some Christmas charts and thinking of ones that I'd like to stitch possibly this year. I don't know that I'll start all of these, or these, I guess there's just a couple. But they are charts that I have had and wanted to at least kit up. One of those is Blizzard from Stacy Nash. I bought him at the Farm Girl retreat in Amana that I went to in June. He's stitched on Needle and Flax Hawthorn, which I do not have any Hawthorn in 36 count. And I like the size of the 36, the ones on 36 compared to my teeny little froggy that's on 40. If I'm traveling with it in a case, I love them on 40, but if it's going to be home and displayed for Christmas, which this one would be, I'd want it on 36. And I didn't have anything in my stash that resembled Hawthorn enough for me to feel like I could stitch this very white fox on. I'm sure I have something, but I was just like, I'll just put the threads together for now. So I did have all of the called for threads in my stash, so he's all kitted up and he might get started soon. Super cute. And then Lori Holt showed her finish of, I have it in this thing because Kathy Barrick's charts come in like big zipper bags, and I bought this chart like 6 years ago or more, 7 years ago. When was it released? Doesn't say. I bought this a really long time ago when I was very new to stitching, and I was like, I don't want to keep this in the zipper bag. So I was like, I'm going to keep all my charts in binders. And so I took the zipper bag away and put it in this binder thing, and it's like a million loose sheets of paper. So it just stays in here. But Lori showed her finish of this again. I know she finished it last year, but she showed her finish of it, and it was so pretty. And obviously I loved this chart for a long time if it was one of the first ones I ever bought. It calls for NPI silk or DMC, and I don't have enough NPI in stash to be able to stitch this. But what I do have a lot of is bell swap. So I did a bell swap conversion based on the DMC thread list. And I think they're so pretty. Where's that orange go? Oh, in the berry bowl and the beaks. So I do have it kitted with these bell swap. I don't have a fabric pulled. It was stitched on vintage pecan butter from Lakeside Linens, which I actually do have. So I don't know if I'll start this year or not, but it was fun to do this conversion and pull all these colors. And then this morning I just got done watching Audrey's new Flosstube Extra, which is all about Mill Hill kits. She's stitched a lot of Mill Hill kits and I have stitched none. I do have a couple of kits I've discovered. I have like a big tote of like dimensions kits and things, and I have not looked through it for a really long time. And so I was like, I wonder if I have any Mill Hill kits in there, because I know I was given one Mill Hill kit a few years ago or maybe last year. And I had a couple of Mill Hill kits in here, which I did not realize. So this is one I was given. It is a little snow globe. It's very tiny and it's very cute. But so it's got me all inspired thinking maybe I should try stitching one of these. I've never stitched on perforated paper. I also have this Jim Shore Santa, Nordic Santa. I truly don't remember when I bought these. I didn't know I even had them. And then I had this cute little snowman. They're cute little buddies. So I have those. And then I also found this shepherd's bush kit that I'd forgotten I was given as a gift as well. And it's got all the finishing supplies in it too. And I love this. So I definitely want to stitch this. I'm sure it's stitched on 32 count. Definitely looks like 32 count flax or raw natural. But it's so cute. I really love this one. So I might start this one today. It's just tiny. I don't know if I'll stitch it on this linen though. We shall see. Okay, lifestyle. I think that's all the stitching. I don't really have plans. I'm going to keep working on Threads of Christmas Past and probably start this one and maybe a Mill Hill kit. That's as far as my plans go. I would like to work on another sampler at some point this week too. But it's a busy week. It's Thanksgiving week. I am hosting for the first time ever. I'm not hosting like a big group of people. I hope I'm speaking loud enough. I feel like I'm whispering. I hope you can hear me. I am hosting myself, my family, and my parents. My sister is the only one that lives here at home, and she is going to her significant other's house this year, so it's just my parents were alone. So I was like, why don't you all just come over and we're gonna stay home and I'm going to cook Thanksgiving meal all by myself for the first time ever in my life. This is the first time we've ever stayed home for Thanksgiving. I'm very excited about it. The only thing I'm not doing is the turkey. So I have a lot of, I've already got all my Thanksgiving foods. We're going to do sweet potatoes, funeral potatoes. It's a Utah, Idaho thing. Funeral potatoes because I'm not crazy about doing mashed potatoes. We smoke a turkey, and so we don't eat gravy with it. We do just cranberry sauce. So I don't see the point of making mashed potatoes if I'm not gonna make gravy. So I'm gonna do funeral potatoes and a salad and pumpkin pie and a lemon meringue pie, because those are my favorite. But I'm very excited to be able to be home all day, and we're going to use the Christmas dishes that I inherited from my grandma. We have been eating on them the last few weeks, and it's just been so much fun. They bring me joy, and she really insisted on us actually eating on them and using them, and we have been, and I think she would really enjoy that. So yeah, so I'm very excited to be home for Thanksgiving and be able to watch the football game and just chill out at home. We're going to eat early in the afternoon so that we can have pie without being sick a few hours later, and maybe have like a little turkey sandwich bedtime treat. Yeah, so those are our Thanksgiving plans. Let's see. So we were sick the past week. We didn't do any of our after school activities, and the kids missed half the school week. But we're mostly past up now. We're all just kind of dealing with a lingering cough, but we're mostly back to normal, which I'm very grateful for. And my brain is I'm not forming coherent sentences. Okay, I'm so tired today. I did work this past weekend. I worked, I don't know, 15 hours or so. But it was cold. It was like 30 to 40, and I worked outside all day, and it was very chilly. I was bundled up all day, the last 2 days outside, and it's just really draining. There's something about working in the really, really hot and the really, really cold that just will sap the life from your bones. And I kept feeling like I had old bones. Like I was so stiff working out in the cold. But it was fun. I worked with my friend both days, and we make it fun. My work did give us a big turkey too as a gift, which was nice. So that is really all of life. The kids are out of school this week, so they're downstairs eating lunch while I'm hiding up here to film really quick. And it's only Monday morning or Monday afternoon, and the tattling has been nonstop, so pray for me. We survived the week. I basically had them home all last week too, so it's been pretty much 2 weeks of, it'll be 2 weeks of kids being at home by the end of this week. Shows. I did watch a few shows. I watched on Netflix, there are 2 Netflix movies called Enola Holmes 1 and number 2. I had seen number 1 when it first came out a really long time ago, but only that one time. And I remember I did like it, but I didn't remember anything about it. And there's number 2 that came out a couple of years ago that I never watched. So I just watched them both one after the other. They had Millie Bobby Brown, which I did not know that was Millie Bobby Brown because I never watched Stranger Things. But she plays Enola, and then Henry Cavill plays Sherlock, and I'm really bad at remembering his name. He plays Mycroft. He's in so many things. I wish I could remember his name. I can remember 18 movies he's been in, but I can never remember his name. But he wasn't in the second one. And then I didn't realize as I was watching them, the love interest of Enola, the boy, he is in the show I just finished a few weeks ago, House of Guinness. He is the second oldest brother, Edward. And I loved him in House of Guinness, and I really liked him in the Enola Holmes movies too. And I really liked those movies. They were really fun to watch when you just, I didn't feel good. I was just stitching and being really lazy because I was so tired. And they were really, really cute movies. I liked them a lot. And I wish they would tell us if they're going to do a third, because the way they ended it made it seem like there was going to be a third, but I don't think they've even started filming it. But I would like there to be a third because I really enjoyed both of them. Then we watched a show on Netflix called Marines, The Marines or Marines, basically about a group of recruits in the Scout Sniper Marines, and just kind of going through their training. And they do training, Marines are land and sea, and so they do have their training like army, like on land, and then they go and do the second half of their training on a big ship with the Navy. And it was just following a group of them, and it was really interesting, like just watching the dynamics between the different sects of the military. It was really, really good though. Sometimes you forget most of these people are just kids. They're just so young when they go in, and they're just like young kids. But it was really interesting, and apparently that was the last Scout Sniper Marines group to go through with training, because they ended that, I don't know what you call it, platoon, that area of specialization they have ended it. But it was a very good show. And then we watched a movie called The Siege of, I'm going to say it wrong, Jadotville, I'm not sure, somewhere in South America. And it's a true story based on during the, in the 1960s, so Vietnam War era, I'm pretty sure. A group of Irish soldiers held a fort in this town against the French band of South Americans, I believe, that were trying to take it over for precious minerals that were being mined in this area. And it is a true story, and I thought it was very interesting. The movie was okay. It had Jamie Dornan in it. He was like the star of it, and I think he was the only one I knew of in it. It was, I don't know, the story is really cool. I think the story is very cool, obviously. But the movie was not great. It was not my favorite. It did not inspire any kind of connection to these characters. I didn't know any of their names. I had no idea who any of them were still by the end of the movie. And so therefore I had no feelings about it. I could not get emotionally connected to any of the characters. None of them died, which is amazing that happened. It really in real life. But like, even if one had died, I'd have been like, who were you again? It just wasn't an inspiring movie. The way they told it was not interesting, not inspiring, and did not inspire any kind of devotion from me. So there's that. And then we started a show last night called Last Samurai Standing. And I don't know what I was thinking the show would be when we started it. It's like samurais, so you think like what, 18th century or something. But it's not like what you would think it would be, because maybe I was coming off of, I just finished Memoirs of a Geisha, so I was kind of like thinking like that kind of a vibe for the show. No, it's more like Squid Games with samurais from like the 18th century. It's interesting, and I can't decide if it's a foreign show that is dubbed or not. The voices don't sound right, like they don't sound like they fit the characters, but the mouths are on with the words most of the time. So it's really confusing. Like, is this an AI show? Like, I'm always being tricked by AI. And so I'm like, is this AI? Is this even real? Are these people even really acting? Is that why it's giving such weird vibes? I can't decide. It's really strange. The story is fun and interesting, and that it's very heavy action sword fighting business, which is fun to watch. But yeah, I can't get over the mouths and the voices. It just feels wrong. It's strange. If you watch it, let me know what you think, because I'm convinced that it was a show that was created by AI. So that is all I've watched. I don't know what I'm going to watch this week, because I'm home with children all week now. I don't know. I need shows. And I know there are shows out there, but I'm having a hard time starting new shows for some reason. I don't know. But that is all I have for this video today. I hope that you guys have wonderful Thanksgivings full of great food and friends and family, and I will see you next week for my next video. Bye.